The Justice Department is also investigating Elon Musk. Justice Department is investigating a lot of things right now, and Elon Musk is now the subject of a new complaint. They are following a complaint of hiring discrimination. This story comes over from CNBC. The U.S. Department of Justice is investigating SpaceX over whether the company discriminates against non-U.S. citizens in its hiring practices. Elon Musk company is stonewalling a subpoena for information, court documents revealed. The DOJ's Immigrant and Employee Rights section received a complaint of employment discrimination from a non-U.S. citizen, claiming that the company discriminated against him based on his citizenship status. So this is probably a person here on a visa who was not happy that they didn't get a job over at SpaceX, and they're using the very nice U.S. laws to file an employment discrimination claim, and the DOJ is just going with that hard. The charge alleges that on or about March 10th last year, during a charging party's interview for the position, SpaceX made inquiries about his citizenship status and then ultimately failed to hire him for the position because he is not a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident. Okay. The DOJ attorney, Lisa Sandoval, wrote in a court document. The document was a request for the judge to order SpaceX to comply with an administrative subpoena for documents related to how the company hires. And this is what the U.S. government is doing right now. This is what they are filing. So the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California in the Western Division, this is called a memorandum in support of the United States application for an order to comply with the administrative subpoena. It's U.S. of A. The petitioner against SpaceX, the technology company by Elon Musk. And you see, this is the attorney, Lisa Sandoval. We've got Sajal Havari, trial attorneys with the U.S. Department of Justice within the Civil Rights Division. And so Elon is also the subject of a lot of focus. Elon likes to sort of thumb his nose. Is that right? He likes to poke the eye of the government many times. We've seen him do it on Twitter with the SEC. We've seen him do it again with GameStop and the Wall Street. And they don't necessarily like when you do that. So now he's under some pretty serious investigation, or at least SpaceX is. Let's take a look at the memo. Here's what they're saying. Memorandum in support of the application. So this is for a subpoena. So here's what's happening. The Department of Justice got a complaint from some non-U.S. citizen who said, I wanted a job there. They asked if I was a citizen. I told them I wasn't. They asked if I was a permanent resident. I told them I wasn't. They decided not to hire me. He goes to the DOJ, to the Civil Rights Division, files a complaint, says they're discriminating against me because I'm a non-citizen. The DOJ, because they got nothing better to do, decided that they're going to go and file a subpoena, get a court order for a subpoena to go get a copy of Elon Musk and SpaceX's hiring documents. They want to see how they're hiring people. Are they discriminatory? Do they have formal policies in their hiring procedures that say we only hire U.S. citizens? The judge granted the subpoena. They sent it over to SpaceX. They said, hey, we got a subpoena here. Give us your documents. Elon says, no, that's all right. We're not going to do that. We're not giving you our internal documents. So now the U.S. attorneys are going back to the court and they're saying, here's our memorandum. Here's our justification, court, for why you should mandate that they comply with the subpoena. So it's asking the court, before they ask for sanctions or other penalties, to give them a real strong order, give them the documents, and that's what they're fighting over right now. It's not over about whether there was discrimination or not. It's about just the documents. And this is stuff that happens in law all the time. Many people, when we were covering some of the election litigation, they were saying, well, nothing was heard in a court of law. And that's because it was a piecemeal process that should have been gone through, that largely didn't happen, where you request some documents, you get them, that opens the door to another thing that you want, you get it, it opens the door to the main argument. That's where they're at right now in this litigation. So here's the memo in support of it. The U.S. is saying they want the court to grant an order requiring SpaceX to deliver the documents over to them for review, for immigration review. SpaceX has repeatedly refused to obey the lawfully issued subpoena and the order to comply with it. They analyzed and rejected all the arguments SpaceX raised in its petition to modify or revoke the subpoena. So when the subpoena was sent over, it sounds like SpaceX fought it in court, right? So they responded and said, nope, we're not going to do it. They refused to comply with the order, and the U.S. has no alternative but to seek redress from the court. the facts here. May 29th last year, there was a complaint from this individual, a non-U.S. citizen, the charging party as they call it, saying that they discriminated against him based on citizen status. They said that during the interview, there was inquiries about his status. They failed to hire him because he's not a citizen. We already covered that. Then IER notified SpaceX, which is by email. It had opened an investigation and it requested SpaceX to provide information and documents related to its hiring process. The letter also stated the investigation is not limited only to specific allegations. Our investigation may explore whether they engage in any pattern or practice of discrimination. One of the requests contained in the notice requested an Excel spreadsheet with all available Form I-9 data, which is visa forms, I think, copies of any supporting documentation and all attachments organized chronologically. They gave him a deadline of June 22nd. They gave him several extensions of time. They wanted that spreadsheet. They said it contains information about the Form I-9 stuff, copies and documents. SpaceX refused to provide the form and any supporting documentation. Then they got a subpoena, required SpaceX to email the documents. Didn't happen. SpaceX received it. They confirmed they received it. But at the meeting, SpaceX counsel asked some clarifying questions about the subpoena. When they answered, SpaceX refused to provide the subpoenaed documents, even after the IER allowed SpaceX to produce them over an extended period of time. So SpaceX just said, no, we're not giving you that stuff. Then again, a couple weeks later, on October 26th, SpaceX filed its petition to modify or revoke the subpoena. They said that it is not relevant to the investigation and it is unduly burdensome. In an order then issued, the organization denied the petition to revoke. They said that the subpoena was within the statutory authority, was within the scope. The subpoena was not too indefinite. The subpoena is reasonably and directly relevant to the investigation. They rejected SpaceX arguments. SpaceX did not meet its burden in proving that it would disrupt its business. So they're asking now for an order. They're saying SpaceX acknowledged receipt of this order. They failed to comply with any part of the order, having met all of its procedural prerequisites and satisfied all standards. The U.S. requests an order from this court requiring SpaceX to comply with the subpoena within 14 days, signed by Jennifer and Lisa Sandoval, submitted by the acting deputy special counsel, signed off by Lisa R. Sandoval. So that's what's going on at SpaceX. And a lot of the commentary on Twitter is saying, why wouldn't you want a company to hire U.S. citizens over non-U.S. citizens? This is a debate that goes on very frequently. Non-citizen, visa holders are come in and work at these big tech companies. So we'll see where this one falls out.